GANGPLANK as a champion is the kind of guy you don't see all game, then he joins one teamfight, kills everyone with a weird barrel combo, and then goes back to stealing coins from poor minions. GANGPLANK mains are often a weird bunch, and our player today is no exception. Our GANGPLANK player is named Mac, and he has perfected AP GANGPLANK, finding a way to make all of his abilities do AP damage, and even playing it mid lane, like a mage. Mac started playing League in Season 2. He discovered the game after watching his older brother play. It actually seems like a pretty wholesome story, queuing together in normal games for a while, bonding. This is until they started playing ranked. Oh wait, never mind. The brothers duoed bot lane to Diamond in Season 5. I guess League really is a family-friendly game. Once he made it to Diamond for the first time, he found the competitive side of the game the most fun, so dove right in looking for a team. He played some old GANGPLANK, but the rework was coming very soon. So in Season 6, he tried new GANGPLANK, but he missed the old fun builds, like the old bank plank, where you'd buy all the gold generation items and take gold generation runes that gave you gold every 10 seconds. You'd farm a ton and then kill everyone. That is before Riot made the items unique or only for supports. Wow, this game used to look really bad. For a while, Mac had no goals in League and drifted from role to role, new champion to new champion. In Season 8, he began to play mages mid lane, hitting Diamond once again in a new role. But from there, he could not get any higher. Season 9, still unable to climb, he was looking for a new main. Then he saw the new patch, 9.16. Riot made a huge change to Sheen and Triforce, making barrels convert the full damage from these Spellblade items to AD for extra barrel damage. He wondered, well, Lichbane also has that passive, would it work? So he tested it, and it does. All of the AP damage from the item is converted into AD in the barrels, meaning you can build full AP for the huge ultimate damage, and still have a ton of damage from barrels. At the time, it was viable to rush Lichbane, Ludens, and Liantries on GANGPLANK, getting a huge 2-item Powerspike. You were so strong in fights you could even shred the backline with just one ultimate. With this new crazy build, he made it to 250 LP Grandmaster. In Season 10, AP GANGPLANK had a rough season. Changes to the minions and their scaling meant that GANGPLANK with Lichbane couldn't even kill the backline ranged creeps with a barrel, ruining this playstyle. But with the Season 11 item rework, AP GANGPLANK is back, and as strong as ever. Mac has even been playing it in his collegiate league with his team, and AP GANGPLANK there is even better. It's really hard for his bot lane to lose a 2 vs 2 when there is a high damage global ultimate, ready to come down whenever the enemies engage. So why does it work? This single small change in Season 9 was a huge deal to GANGPLANK, and in Season 11 it is still in the game. If you look at GANGPLANK scalings, only his W and ult scale with AP. So isn't this build a waste? Well, with a specific build, GANGPLANK can provide a great mix of damage. So the abilities, GANGPLANK Q has great base damage and even higher with the Spellblade passive. GANGPLANK W, the oranges, the healing goes off the chart with its AP scaling, which Mac has a special use for. The GANGPLANK E, the barrels convert all the AP damage to AD, so you are still doing a crazy amount of damage with them. And finally the ultimate, the one ability that players know AP GANGPLANK for, even more AP scaling on a big AoE that destroys teamfights. Mac's theory is that in fights, even pro players are only able to hit one really good barrel combo, so that leaves a lot of time where you need your other spells to be useful. A full AD build relies majorly on this barrel combo, definitely not getting the full potential damage out of this ultimate. But an AP build means this barrel combo is still pretty good, and then a huge ult can follow it up and destroy the backline. In terms of damage dealt, you should actually be right in the middle of AP and AD, both being quite high. This means that AP GANGPLANK is a great champion for pretty much any team comp, as you bring hybrid damage, as well as ignoring enemy armor with your barrels. This champion is a tank's nightmare, because there is nothing you can build against him to stop his damage. At level 1, Mac takes Q. You poke like any GANGPLANK would. GANGPLANK has high base damage, especially with his burn passive, which means early game, you don't really lose anything from going AP. You can still poke with Q, and all in with auto attacks. Level 1 is a huge power spike, especially against melee champions. Level 2, Mac takes E. Put a barrel down, prepare it. The best combo to use is the Phantom Barrel, where you surprise the enemy with a quick combo. Put one barrel down, walk out of Q range, press Q on the barrel to walk at it, putting a second barrel down as your shot leaves the gun. As soon as the animation starts, you can use your second barrel. It creates a second barrel in the new spot, which explodes unexpectedly, letting you look for an all-in ignite kill. Level 3, GANGPLANK takes W. Get a ward in river to spot the enemy jungler on Crab. This is great on any mid laner, but GANGPLANK can shove the wave with barrels, so it's very easy for him. At level 5, every game, your goal should be to base for Sheen, then return to lane, having a lot more damage than the enemy. You can even get a solo kill if they don't expect the damage. If you're in a melee matchup, GANGPLANK is built to win it. He is a top laner who can take grasp, so he wins all of the trades. His Q is ranged, so they cannot return poke, and his passive burn auto does more damage than any other auto attack in the game. They get a reset every time you kill a barrel. Melee matchups are the ones where you just collect your LP. In range matchups, GANGPLANK can start to struggle. Again, he is not balanced to deal with these, because ranged top laners are hated by everyone. Back to matchups later. At level 6 you get your ultimate. The first fight in solo queue is often the most impactful in the game. Look to snowball another lane while still picking up farm in your own. You should be looking around the map constantly to use your ult and pick up assists or kills if you're lucky. GANGPLANK might be the best champion for affecting the map while still gaining power yourself. You can ult to a lane, but you never lose anything for it. The risk is very low. You're still there killing the minions while your ult is doing the work. If you struggle to TP well or roam, then GANGPLANK can fix this for you. From this point of the game, the most important part for GANGPLANK to focus on is to keep stacking his serpents by farming with Q and barrels to get ult upgrades, as well as getting XP for levels. This playstyle is all about the high damage ultimate, so if you can get to level 16 with some upgrades, you'll hit your late game fantasy. Because of this, it can sometimes look like Mac doesn't even leave his lane. He is hyper focused on vacuuming up farm and watching everywhere for an ult opportunity. You can join fights, but this is not the most consistent way to scale. Farming and getting XP are. If you can get to a 4th dragon level 16 with ult upgrades, you're a huge threat, but if you farm well, you can do it earlier, and then your damage will be insane in comparison. A level 8 you get your barrel upgrade, so your combos get a bit easier. This lets you full clear wave with one barrel that you auto attack, and then a second barrel that you Q. Then again at level 13 the barrels get even faster, which is how you start to surprise enemies with fast combos. Getting to mid game, around level 13, at this point you are a control mage. Your barrels hurt, and your ultimate can take people out of the fight entirely. Both of these tools create zones the enemy cannot walk through, or they lose. In teamfights you have 3 very specific things to do. The first one, land a good ultimate. For consistency with GANGPLANK ultimate, you want to use it around choke points as best as possible, or putting it behind enemies to deny their escape. If you miss the true damage in the center of the ultimate, it's not the end of the world, but doing a barrel combo slow into an ultimate is a much easier way to land it. Your second job is landing a good barrel combo. The best combo in a fight is a triple barrel. Put 2 barrels down quickly, move forwards, and then you Q at max range on the first barrel, putting another one down as the shot travels through. If you see a GANGPLANK do this, he's good at the champion, so be like him. Finally, GANGPLANK W is weirdly important in fights. As AP GANGPLANK you aren't the flanker. Your goal is to take poke for your team and dish out poke while creating zones the enemy can't path through. AP GANGPLANK is special in this way because he can take poke and then regen it with his W, healing up to 1200 damage instantly. Mac compared it to the playstyle of SOFM, the guy at Worlds who would go tank Rengar or tank Lee Sin even when he was ahead, just to distract and mess with the enemies. You could even compare it to Udyr early this season, taking Chem Tank and just baiting damage over and over again, or doing his own poke back. GANGPLANK is like this, but has a much higher damage potential. Here's maybe a perfect fight example for a GANGPLANK. His teammate is caught in a choke point far away, but GANGPLANK doesn't mind the range, because his ult is global, so he instantly ults to trap the enemies. A great Hecarim ult over the wall fears the whole team. GANGPLANK uses this window to set up a very simple double barrel combo, getting big damage onto 4 enemies, winning the fight. He has 1 barrel outside the group of enemies, then 1 as far forwards as he can, and even that simple combo wins the fight, chasing the kills afterwards. Here's a bit of an earlier fight, showing how he uses GANGPLANK ult. Enemies are taking dragon. Can his team contest this? He sees the enemies have to escape upwards, as his team is below them, so he ults in their escape path, meaning they have no way to make a correct decision. Either they take the fight 3 vs 4 and lose it, or they run away, again getting caught, walking through GANGPLANK ultimate, and losing the fight. If his ult was on top of them, instead of predicting their path, the enemies can just leave the zone in 1 second and escape, so predicting movement is important. Our final teamfight example, which really shows your job in the fights. He gets a great barrel flank, and just stalls while his team catches up. If AP GANGPLANK goes into auto attack, he is just tickling enemies. Imagine a Syndra walking melee range to auto. It's the same thing, so he positions safely, waiting until he has 2 barrels off cooldown, which once again instantly win the fight when he combos them, slowing the last enemies, which leads to their deaths. Barrels can be confusing and overwhelming to use in fights, but this AP playstyle lets you fully focus on landing them and your ultimate, rather than also having to auto attack or flash on a carry, which arguably are just as complicated themselves, because on a squishy champion like GANGPLANK, if you try and do too much, then you can just get bursted and die. For matchups, Mac has written a really specific in-depth matchup guide for us, so let me break it down very simply. The really easy matchups we're gonna call your dog could win these with an Xbox controller, Twisted Fate, your ult beats his roams, Kassadin, he's a melee laner who cannot outdamage you, and these other low early game damage mages. We also have some easy matchups, lots more melee champions like Cho'Gath, Diana, Akali, which GANGPLANK can abuse with his Q. Worst case, even with the ranged champions like Lux, Vladimir, or Corki, he'll scale up for free, reaching his late game power very fast. The medium difficulty matchups are these champions, who either have the damage to kill you, like Zed, they have more poke than you, like Orianna, or they can push wave better than you to get a lead, like Anivia. These are often 50-50 matchups, and Mac has given us a ton of tips tips in the document. I value your time, so I won't go through all of them in the video, but I'll link the document in the description, so you can check it before each game. Finally, the really hard matchups. Lots of the expected champions that destroy any fun mid laner. Thank you Riot for leaving Lucian mid, we all really enjoy playing against him. These are the matchups where you try and avoid picking Gangplank, or consider a dodge. This build does work top lane as well, and Mac thinks that top lane might actually be the better version in high elo, because bad matchups top lane are much less common. Mac's favourite bans are Syndra and Azir, but any of the unplayable matchups would work. He takes Ignite, Flash most games. This gives you early kill pressure in the easier lanes. It's highly recommended for solo queue especially. In some situations you could take Exhaust, like against assassins, and sometimes he takes TP to stay even with a mage that can outshove him. For his build, start Corrupting Potion, helps with laning, and lets Gangplank spam Q a bit more often. Your first base at level 5 should ideally always be a Sheen, ready to look for a kill. First item, go for Lichbane for the barrel combo and Q power. Ionian boots are his favourite boots for more ultimates and Q spam. Next you can either go for Luden's Echo for higher damage with the Magic Pen passive, and your ultimate can proc Luden's as well, or Night Harvester if you want the extra 300 HP and more ability haste to spam. Basically it's either HP or damage, and in general even though the build path is worse, Luden's is a better default item. After this, items are situational. Zhonya's against dive or assassins, Void Staff against tanks, Rabadon's for straight up damage, Morello versus healing, even Banshees or Cosmic Drive for more safety. There are a ton of items to pick from. Both full AD and AP Gangplank are currently viable, which makes the champion really worth learning. At one point, Triforce into a Liandry's was the go-to hybrid build for Gangplank, so who knows, there might even be a good hybrid combo to discover. Mac has 2 rune pages depending on the situation. The Grass page is the classic Gangplank, great for trades in lane, gets you a bit tanky, and has Font of Life, which procs from your ultimate, which is a weird but surprisingly good synergy to keep your team alive in fights. So if you're new to Gangplank, you want to win lane and try and get a kill, go for this page. If you're in one of the impossible matchups, or really want to focus on scaling, take this page instead. The second page is an Arcane Comet page. It's great for late game with higher damage ultimates with multiple comets per fight. In Mac's opinion, the Grass page is much better for new Gangplank players, and might just be the obvious choice. I'm testing this on stream this week, learning Gangplank, and seeing whether top or mid are better, so come check it out if you want somewhere to start.